Press record. Welcome to our mindset call today, where we are going to be talking about 5 ways in which you can create culture. Okay. Now, the reason why we're talking about creating culture today is because it's Accountability April. And last week we spoke about just getting our minds right and making sure that we hold each other accountable when it comes to having our goals and being decisive about what it is that we want to achieve, and making sure that we are committed and dedicated to doing what it is that we say that we've got to do. But sometimes, right, and we've been talking a lot about purpose over the last few months, sometimes when God gives you a vision, when he gives you a mission, when he tells you to do something, sometimes it's going to be against the grain. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Sometimes it's going to be something that most people would not understand. Sometimes it's going to be in an area that may make you feel uncomfortable. It may make other people feel uncomfortable. Sometimes it's going to be in situations what you've never done before. You're putting yourself out there. You're getting yourself out your comfort zone. A lot of the time when God gives us a vision, it can be misunderstood. A lot of the times it can be confused. A lot of the times things that God will give to you, he will not allow other people to understand it. And so in order for us to fulfill and hold ourselves accountable to doing what God has called us to do, we've got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that we are game changers. We can create cultures. We can create what it is that we know that we want to see. What does it mean? It means not going with the norm. It means not following what everybody else is doing. It means standing out sometimes. And that can be hard. That can be difficult. How many of you let me know in the chat box right now, if God has given you a mission and you've got to trust him to execute, because not everybody will understand. Your parents won't understand. Your best friend won't understand. Maybe your spouse won't understand. Sometimes when God gives you something, not everyone's going to understand. So it's going to take courage. It's going to take boldness. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take resilience. You got to be iconic to know that, I know everybody's not going to understand me. Not everybody's going to get me. But it's absolutely fine, because I know that there's been a calling over my life. So I want to give you 5 ways in which you can make sure that you stand out and you stand correct. Okay, just 5. We're not going to be on here too long. 5. And I took my inspiration from the book of Daniel. I'm forever, you guys know me, I take my inspiration from one place and one place only. And I'm unapologetic about that, because that's what keeps me going. A lot of times people will ask me, Nikki, where do you get your consistency from? How come you always show up? I showed up here for 4 years solid, non-stop. I was looking at one of the old videos and it was like, oh my gosh, it was 2019. We've not missed a Monday. So, Nikki, how come you can do this? I got into the Forex space, right, when Forex wasn't cool. When people were still thinking it was a scam. I've got into property during the time when people said it was recession. Don't get into it. Like, I know for a fact that when you're about to be blessed by God, he's going to push you out of your comfort zone. He's going to push you out of doing what all your friends are doing sometimes. And we've got to make sure that we don't miss the mark, because we're so concerned about fitting in. We're so concerned about other people's opinions. We're so concerned about following the status quo. And so I was studying Daniel. And for those of you that don't know the book of Daniel, or have not heard of the book of Daniel, right? I give you a quick synopsis that when we're looking at Daniel, he's probably around age, between 11 to 16. He's a teenager. He's a young boy, right? But I really, really admire this young boy, because he had some boldness. He had some courage. And so what happens to Daniel is him and his 3 friends are literally like hijacked, kidnapped from where they live in Jerusalem and taken to some place in Babylon. And the king, Nebuchadnezzar, I believe, and his people then wanted to convince Daniel and his friends to go against their faith, to go against what they believe, to eat different food, to drink different things, to speak differently. They even wanted him to worship a statue and pretend that's their God. But for some reason, this young boy was like, no, you can kill me. Kill me if you have to. I'm not bowing down to you. That's number one, values. In order to be a game changer, in order to be a culture creator, you have to have some values, some boundaries, some standards. What is a value? A value is something in line with God's will that you determine. And you predetermine that no matter what, I will not negotiate on. No matter how much pressure, temptation, I will not negotiate on these set of values. You see, some people don't have values. You got to have values. There's certain things I know, they can't get me to bow. I don't care what you're offering me. I don't care if you're offering me money. I don't care if you're offering me this. I don't care if you're not going to get me to do it. I have a set of values. I have some principles about me. That when I commit to something, I don't care what looks shiny over there. When I commit to something, I'm going to go through it. That's a value that I have. So we've got to have values. What's your values? Do your values go out the window when you're under pressure? Do your values go out the window when you're looking for money? When you're chasing a goal, you lose your values. When your back's against the wall, how many of you know those people that when their back's against the wall, they will sell you for a chocolate biscuit. They will sell you out down the street. Come on now. You thought your best friend was there for you. Your cousin was there for you. You thought your best mate was there for you. But when they got a chance, the enemy could easily trick them to sell you out. Do you have a set of values? Are you principle-based? Let me tell you this, no amount of money, none, is going to be worth losing your principles and values when it comes to who it is that you say that you are. In fact, all the money in the world, when you get it, it's not going to feel good if you haven't got it in the right way. So when you are a game changer, there's going to be distractions. There's going to be people that want to take you off your course. You know, you're in a diet and someone's going to say, oh, it's just a bit of cake, eat some. The devil is a liar. You have to know, no, I promised myself I will not eat after 8. I will not eat after 9. You've got to be, you have to have a set of values. This is why I speak to myself. I said, Nikki, you stick to your guns. Stick to your guns. The second one is courage. It takes courage to stick to your values. It takes courage. Nebuchadnezzar wanted Daniel to bow down to this statue and profess it as his God. Let me tell you this, you have to be willing to stand out above the crowd. You have to be willing not to be a yes man. You have to be willing to have an opinion. You have to have courage to say, I don't know what it will cost me, but I'm willing to take a stand for what I believe in. I'm willing to take a stand for what I believe in. I don't care what it's going to cost me. It takes courage to be that bold. It takes courage to say no. It takes courage to stand your ground and to be who it is that you know you've been called to be. It takes courage to have values. It is easy to be swayed. Oh yeah, they say, oh yeah. Sway over there, sway over there. That's why you get people all over the place. Nikki, can I have courage? No matter who it is. And you know, sometimes you have to have courage in areas of where you should be submitting. You know, I spoke to my nephew over the weekend, and he had got in trouble for doing something that he hadn't done, and he didn't speak. He just accepted it. I said, no, you have to have courage to tell the truth. Oh, my mum's not going to listen. No, you must tell your mum the truth. You have to have courage to stand up for yourself, even if it means that you are going towards somebody that should have more superiority over you. You must have courage. Because no man is an island. No one is your God. Everyone is flesh. We all make mistakes. We have to have courage to have honest conversations, to stand up for ourselves and to stand for what we believe in. I used to say this thing on stage, I'm going to stand for what I stand for. You know, I find it hard to relate and to have relationships with people that fail to stick to their values, to key principles, that fail to do these things. I find it hard to have relationships with people like that, because I know they're easily bought. Can you be a person that no one can buy you, and you have courage to stand out outside of the crowd? Number 3 links in with this. It's integrity. Integrity. And when I was studying Daniel 6, around 3 or 4, or it might be 5, 3 or 4 or 5 in Daniel, and they were looking for bad things about Daniel. They were like, let's see if we can find some dirt on this guy. And they couldn't find anything. They were looking for cracks in his character. And I was speaking to the boys. You know, I had my nephew here and my son, their cousins, and we're sitting down talking. And I actually shared these 5 principles with them. And I said to them, when it comes to integrity, integrity is almost where you say no to shortcuts and cheating, where you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, where behind closed doors, you are not one thing, and in the front, you are something else. And I said to them, I said to the boys, I said, let me tell you about integrity with Daniel. When they looked, they couldn't find anything. They were looking for all the character flaws. They were looking for some bad things that they could find about him, and they couldn't find anything. So I said to the young boys, if mummy and auntie, it's my sister, were to go through your phone, would your phone display integrity? If we were to go through your school bag, if we were to go through your room, if we were to search your Google searches, your internet browsing history, look at the conversations between you and your mates, would it show you as an integral person? Would we find anything? And the shock on their faces. I said, now I'm not going to look through your phone. But what I am going to say to you is, that's how you can test your integrity. Are you the church boys that we see? Or are you something else behind closed doors? You see, as parents, if you're a parent on this call, I challenge you to have these conversations with your children, if they are, you know, of that age. Because these are the type of communications that I didn't really have growing up. It was more do this and do that and do that and control and control. No, I'm going to give you the control to have integrity, but I'm going to point you in the right direction. But for us as adults, they say, you know, when you're young, you talk like a child, but when you are of age, right, you put away childish things. And so as an adult, I'm like, These are almost my minimum standards for myself, and also the minimum standards of people that I do business with, people that I have relationships with. Is there an integrity question mark? If people went looking, are you who you say you are? Do you do what you say you're going to do? Are you an integral person? Are you a person of your word? Do you struggle with just saying yes to 100 people and then by the end of the day, you're like, oh my gosh, I've taken on more than I can chew? One of the ones I had to work on. Are you on time? Do you show up? Number 4 is about having a spirit of excellence. You see, it's accountability month. And so during accountability month, it is not, let's just say our goals and just hope for the best. Accountability month is saying, I'm going to hold you accountable to getting it done. Type get it done in the chat. It's get it done season. That's what accountability is. It's get it done. It's not talk about getting it done. It's not write about getting it done. It's actually getting it done. Get it done. So having a spirit of excellence when we're looking at Daniel, and I wrote here Daniel 6:3, but it may not be. And it was where, you know, because of Daniel's integrity, he was actually promoted to a new level. He was placed over an entire empire. An entire empire because of his character. Spirit of excellence. The lack of spirit, the lack of excellence, the lack of that spirit. And I'm just going to say it. Too many people settle for mediocre. Whether that's in their relationships, business, workplace, communications. So many people have just thrown in the towel. So many people have just said, do you know what? This is my life and this is the best it's going to get. So many people settle for average. But to be a game changer, to be a culture creator, you have to have high standards. You've got to be a positive speaking person. You've got to do things to a high standard. It's not about, you know, starting and quitting, or it's doing it messy. I was saying to my son, I said, you washed up, amazing, but there's water on the sides. You've got to have a spirit of excellence. Just because someone didn't ask you doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You should be able to see that that needs to be done and you should get it done because your pride, you take pride in your work. You take pride in your home. How many of you have teenagers who, you know, they do the Hoover, but they know no one's going to see around the back, so they don't bother do that. They cut corners. You got to go, listen, let me pull the table forward, put the Hoover around there, Bridget. You can tell I'm raising teenagers right now, right? A spirit of excellence. And I said, as I'm doing this, guys, because you know, when my nephew comes, the two cousins, the two boys, yeah, they're gonna get Sunday school up in here for at least an hour and make sure they go home. And he goes, oh, you're turning into Nan. I said, you don't worry about that. You ain't gonna forget this. I'm gonna instill it in. They had money class with me around here. They got, and when I call my nephew, I'm gonna cuss him out because he left these notes. Look at that. So important, you left your notes before you went home. We had money classes in here, and I gave them a little mindset session on being game changers, right? Because it's either you change the game or the game's going to change you. And especially in an environment where they're around people smoking, drinking, vaping, doing all these bunch of stuff that teenagers do, swearing. But it got me thinking the same way that we have to make sure that when we're in environments, we don't allow it. It's the same way. Us as adults have to remember that. Because sometimes we're in our routine that we let things slip. And I'm not just talking about the physical stuff. I'm talking about the spiritual. I'm talking about the standards. I'm talking about accepting, okay, they gave you £5 extra a month as a pay rise, and you ain't happy with it, but you ain't booked that meeting to speak to the boss to say, hey, look, can we increase this? Because this ain't cutting it. Because the culture has changed you. You see, at home, you don't be that person that speaks your mind, but at work, the culture's made you think, oh no, nobody gets a pay rise. There's not even any point in me speaking up. Am I speaking to anybody on this call right now? It's either the culture changes you or you change the culture. But if you want to be a game changer, you have to be the one that's bold. You have a spirit of excellence, high standards. And the fifth and final one for you. I told you it was going to be quick today. If not the most important, is high spiritual discipline. One of the things I've read, and not just in Daniel, but in Daniel, yes, but in majority of the books where I've studied and seen things move, there's always been, and then they prayed. And then they prayed. And then they asked the Lord. There seems to be a theme throughout that good book of a spiritual connection, of prayer. In fact, it said Daniel prayed 3 times a day and he never departed from it. Even when he was under the attacks going to Babylon, he never departed from his prayer life. Some of you don't even remember where your Bible is. Some of you can't even got the app on your phone. It needs updating. Some of you even said a prayer today and give thanks. I'm not attacking you guys. I'm holding you accountable. It's accountability month. Right? No matter what goes on, you still brush your teeth. How many of you on this call right now, no matter how busy you are, no matter how late you are, you still brush your teeth? If you don't say me in the chat, you nasty. Right? No matter what happens, you have a value and a standard that says, I'm going to brush my teeth before I go out into the world. You brush your teeth. That's the same way your spiritual life should be. No matter how late you are, you're going to spend time in the Word. No matter how late you are, you're going to hear, even if you put it on your phone whilst you're driving so you can listen and meditate on the Word, you got to get your spirit right. I can always tell people, the people that their spirit ain't right. I can always tell. They're not pouring into themselves. They're not loving themselves. Or you can love everybody else, but you don't love yourself. You don't pour into your mind, right? That's why there's some people that's not on this call right now, because they made an excuse. Oh yeah, I'll go on next week instead. How do you know that the word today isn't what you needed to hear to hold you accountable to moving? Make a decision to have a high spiritual life. You've got to be disciplined in your spiritual life. Pour it into your mindset. What are you listening to on a daily basis? How are you feeding your mind every day? Yo, do you know that there's favor over your life? That you are about to be in control of kingdoms? That there's going to be blessings coming your way? That your storehouse is going to be so full, overflowing? There's going to be an amount of glory coming to your household. In order for you to maintain that, you've got to be ready spiritually, emotionally. How can you guys still hear me? I don't know how Danielle can call me on the middle of the mindset call. right? We got to be ready. And let me tell you this, the enemy is going to want to come after you. The more success you have is the more the enemy is going to want to come after you. The more success you have is the more distractions are going to come after you. The more success you have is the higher spiritual discipline you're going to need. Why? Because the bigger the glory, the bigger the success, the bigger things that you achieve in life is going to attract a higher level worth of distractions and enemies coming your way. That's fact. So how do you hear the term on the ground, don't get ready, stay ready. How do you stay ready? The word. How do you stay ready? The words that you're sowing into your mind every single day, your relationship with God. These are, I don't even have time to go through this. I'm gonna be going through this on the retreat, right? But this is the senses of your soul. How do you, they talk about you have 5 senses, and if you haven't got Pastor Mo's book, you really want to get the book. You actually have 15 senses, right? You have the senses of the body, which is the sight, the smell, the touch. You guys know the senses of the body: hearing, right? Seeing. Okay, I don't know which one I've missed. See, hear, smell, taste, touch. That's the senses of the body. Then you have the senses of the soul. I'm not going to give it all today. We'll maybe do that training another day. But the sense of the soul is your prayer life, right? Is your worship, your praise, right? How are you ministering to your soul on a day-to-day basis? How are you feeding your soul, right? And then you have the sense of the spirit. You guys, you want to get this training, right? I tell you, Pastor Mo blew my mind. I bought the book instantly, right? And I've been studying this for a while. I'm going to be teaching it at the retreat. But we have to make sure that we feed our spirit, man. We have to make sure we feed our soul. And so many people are walking around like their soul is starving because they focus so much on the body. They focus so much on the money. They focus so much on the celebrities, the lifestyle, the Instagram, the things of the outward. And they forget to pour into their soul. They forget to do the spiritual work. It's called the 5 senses. I'll drop it inside the community for you, right? 15 senses. And so it's so important to make sure that we really, really, really pour into ourselves. What are the books that you're reading? What are the things that's going through your ears? Even when you're at home and you're hoovering, what are the sounds that you can hear when you're walking to work or when you're in the car? What are you tuning into, just like music, or are you really pouring it? There's times where I don't care what anyone says, Nikki, I don't have the time. You do have the time. Fit it around your life. Pour into yourself. You will not leave your house without brushing your teeth. Don't leave your life soulless. Don't leave your life without pouring into yourself. You're worth it. You're worth it. Every day you eat because you're hungry. Well, some of you, your soul is hungry. Your soul wants you to love it a bit more. Your soul wants you to feed it a bit more. Your spirit man is like, yo, I'm tired. Come on, fill me up. Take that time. Because I tell you this, the muscle that you're using right now at the level that you're at right now is not the same muscle that's going to be able to sustain you at a higher level. There's a higher level where you're going right now. There's a next level where you're going right now. And I can tell you this, it's going to require resilience. It's going to require game changers. It's going to require people with integrity. It's going to require people with courage. And all of that stuff is going to require spiritual discipline. It's going to require someone with a sound mind, someone that's strong and not persuaded or swayed, someone that can vocalize their opinions and stand for the values that they have. How many of you know sometimes that you just roll over? This is not rollover season. This is you putting your foot down season. How many of you know sometimes that you should speak up and you don't? You let it ride. This is not that season now. The season is for us to make sure that we remember who we are. Let me tell you, every single person on this call right now, you are a game changer. You are a culture creator. Don't go anywhere and not be seen. Don't go anywhere and not be remembered. Be remembered. Show up for yourself. Stand for what you stand for. Don't care who doesn't agree with you. Don't worry about who's not going to co-sign to your opinion, but have an opinion. When you walk into this week, ladies and gentlemen, command territories. Walk into this week and demand the success that you want. Walk into this week and demand and declare healing. Demand and declare health over yourself. Demand and declare that your children are successful. Your children are doing well in school. Demand and declare that your soul is being fed. We got to speak to ourselves sometimes and encourage ourselves and actually have an accountability partner that we can say, hey, okay, look, this is the goal. So I was inspired by the book of Daniel with this. It really inspired me. And I hope that this call has inspired you too. I want to hold you accountable today. On the sound of my voice, I want to hold you accountable today to filling up your spirit, to pouring into your soul, to being a person that has the courage and the audacity to have a spirit of excellence. To become a person that no matter what happens, no matter what pressure you are under, you remain with integrity. You don't cheat your way around. You don't lie or steal, but you're somebody with integrity. You do what you say you're going to do, and you do it with a clean heart, a pure heart and clean hands. And you have the courage to stand for what it is that you stand for. You have the courage to open your mouth. You have the courage to speak up and not bow down to the things of man that you know goes against your faith. And you have the courage to have those values and stick to them. Ladies and gentlemen, it is your girl, Nikki Sutherland, Money and Mindset Mentor. I pray and I hope that you go into this week being the game changer, the culture creator that you actually are.